Hey, it's Russ, and I'm here to tell you today to stop buying things you don't use. Once again, I have been going through my dad's things, and I'm finding things that maybe had a purpose, but in the end, I'm not so sure. And they've never gotten used. They're sealed, they're new, and sure, that's a great thing if I'm selling them on eBay or passing them along or trying to move them along. But it seems to be kind of crazy that there's so much. And it's not even stuff like the basics, like buying extra detergent because it was on sale, or buying 2 pairs of shoes because you're going to get free shipping, which I've done. Those things, if you like the shoes and you know the shoes and you're going to use the shoes, I'm all for it. But I guess it's more about the things that, again, that eventually lead to clutter and things that you have to store that you don't need. And yes, some of these things are interesting. And my dad bought things for opportunity, things that he might want to do. But I guess my thought would be, unless it's a very unique item, I would say until you're ready to do a project or use that item, it's okay to wait, because you do have Amazon, you do have eBay, you have Etsy. So there's a supply of places where you can look for unique things once you've identified what your need is. But to buy it and store it for what turns out to be decades seems kind of crazy to me. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's detrimental to having a home that you can live in and produce in and create in without having the clutter or the extra things weighing over you. Like, oh boy, I've got to go through that. I've got to organize it. I've got to stop wasting that time, and don't buy it from the beginning till you need it. Actually need it, and not just because it's neat or interesting. Let's go through some of the stuff that I found. And some of this stuff is on eBay and others are not, and some may be on eBay later on, but I'll try and put a link below and subscribe below, because I'm going to be doing these types of videos over and over again. I also did one that was about stop buying souvenirs and why you should do that. But here's an idea, like, okay, neat at the store. Spider-Man, Dad loves Spider-Man, Dad loves Spider-Man. It's a toothbrush. He never intended to use it, only to store it forever. And I think it's from 2004, maybe so 20 years. It's there. Candles. My dad had a thing for Crayola candles. He loved getting the collector's boxes, and I guess when they saw that these candles were Crayola crayons that are scented, I think, yeah, they're scented, he had to have them. And they're from the 90s or the 80s. Never been used. Here's a good one. There's a story that goes with this one. So when the stores was going out of business, and my dad bought these pens because he uses them, which I'm all for if you're going to use them. He also bought the fillers that went in these pens. Not just 3, 4, 5, 6 fillers. The inserts, the ink. He bought a bag full, which equaled, this is hard to believe, approximately 28 to 35 of these ink refills, which you would have to be using these almost daily every year. This is in the 1990s. The 1990s, when he's buying these. We had to throw them all away because we opened them up and they dried out. He'd never used a single one, from what we could tell, because he never opened and used the pens. So, while it was a good deal on sale, I mean, he spent, less than $1 per ink, but he didn't use it. It would have been better to buy 4 or 5, and then when he needed it again, find the resource to do it. Now, maybe you could say, well, there was no eBay back then, so he wouldn't have known. But it just goes to show that it was out there. You would just buy it when you need it. there's a savings that comes to that. Here's another one: buying playing cards that you never open and never use, because you like the covers and you like what's on the inside, but they were never used. They've been stored. Toy, no idea. Maybe this was a gift, so maybe I'll give a pass on that. But never used. The box was open. It was looked at and put down. Here's another unique one. There's 7 of these. I don't know if it was a special. They're swords. I've listed them on eBay. They're not swords for killing, but maybe he was going to do a magic trick with 7 swords. I'm not sure. He was part of the Civil War reenactment, so I'll give him a break on that, but he never used one of them. I put it on eBay. If you like swords, I mean, it's nice. It's interesting. You can display. You could probably right now buy them and do someone's initials if there's a family that's into Civil War reenactments. I mean, it might be great, but I mean, it'd be one thing if he got to use them, but he bought them for the opportunity to use them later on and never did. And these things just sat. This is a Sharper Image remote control helicopter from 2004. I think that's 2004 or 2007. One of the things is the technology for these type of helicopters, and I have no idea if he just bought it. He thought maybe his grandkids were getting a little bit old to play with these. Maybe that was the idea, but just never opened it. Back in the closet, stored away. And I guess the thought is that, we buy all this stuff, and then what a lot of people do, and I just was learning about this, is once you get too much stuff, if you don't have enough space in your home, then you look to put stuff outside of your home. And there comes a point in time where you need to maybe stop buying the initial stuff. And if you get a high off of purchasing things, maybe the key is that you purchase and return within like a day or two. But the fact is you've got to find something so you don't buy things that you never use. If you find that things are piling up around your home that you never use and never intend to use, return them immediately with the receipt. Be done with it. Over. Finished. Move on. The other thing is, if you buy candles, go ahead and use them. It's okay. You bought them to use them. Go ahead and use them. There's nothing wrong with using your candles, playing with the cards you buy, but you don't need 30 decks of cards. And the fact is if you're buying less, you can use that money for an event or a life activity where there's a memory created rather than a thing created. So I'm more for those things. So I'm going to say, stop buying things you don't use, or wait until you need to use it before you buy it, because it might be a little bit more money. But financially, it's better to buy something when you need it than store something for decades and in a lot of cases, forget where you stored it. So then you often end up buying it again. And believe me, that's a whole other story, because there are some items that my dad purchased 3 and 4 times over the years because he couldn't find where it was. And buying closer to need saves you time, space, and money. And you don't have to sort it or organize it again. So, my tip to you this week is stop buying things you don't use unless it's the basics or things that you commonly use. That's not what I'm talking about. But the things you rarely ever use that you think are neat. The other thing is, if you're really tempted, hold off, wait a day, and if you still have that desire that you have to have it, then purchase it. So, at least make use of it then. So, that's my tip this week. If you like, subscribe below. There'll be other interesting. And the next one I'm probably going to talk about might just be self-storage. Take care.